Welcome back to another episode. I am the Colonialist, and this is Carebara Affinis, the Asian marauder ant. I found myself really becoming intrigued in the species when I was doing all my research on keeping Pheidole. I love species with polymorphism or that have caste systems. Carebara Affinis has the caste system, so it has the small workers and the large soldiers and super soldiers. And I can tell you one thing for sure, the footage just does not do them justice. They are absolutely and utterly stunning and really amazing to watch. I'm really grateful to the ant lady who offered me her personal 4-queen colony of Carebara Affinis. I would like to just quickly state that the other 3 colonies that arrived at the same time were all and remain to be mite-free. There are no other infected colonies within my collection. It is just the Carebara Affinis, and they are currently in quarantine and isolated from any of the other colonies. So you might be there thinking, how does this happen? Well, it's quite easy really. These mites are a specific parasite to the species, and they are found where the species are found, and they latch on when the ants are at brood stage, and they develop alongside the ants, hiding underneath out of sight as they develop. The only time you will often see them is if there are 2 mites on one ant, because the second mite will often attach itself to the lower outer section of the gaster, meaning that it's visible, which I believe I have spotted individual mites just on a couple of the workers in that exact location while I was reviewing this footage. Now, I took this footage when the colony was first moving in out of their test tube and into the natural setup pod. These mites can't be seen by the naked eye. Their eggs and larval stage can't be seen unless under a microscope. The mite can remain dormant for a period of time until the correct environment triggers a population boom. And this is often when you quickly discover that there is a phoretic mite infestation, because now the amount of mites outnumber the amount of ants, and the mites are actually fighting for space to be on the ants to consume their blood. That is exactly what happened in this instance. Once I brought them up to the correct humidity and was keeping them at a steady 30 degrees Celsius, the population of mites simply exploded quite incredibly beyond belief. And I'll show you the footage that made me discover the mite issue and exactly how bad it was. And it genuinely did stun me. It took me a few minutes to sort of think about what I was looking at and bring myself back to being calm. And then I took some footage while I was sort of emotional and upset, so it's a bit shaky. It's not the best footage, and it wasn't that I was sort of upset with anyone. I was upset with myself. I felt like I had failed my colony. I felt like I had failed to spot the issue sooner. So I can tell you, looking at the footage, that all those tiny little white things running around the entire screen, they are not springtails. In fact, they are the phoretic mites, and this is how quickly a population of them can explode overnight. It is absolutely incredible. I took my camera and I zoomed in, and even looking at it now, it's just sheer devastation. I could not believe how many mites were across the workers, and I went straight into operational mode. I started researching and planning exactly the steps that I need to take to cure this colony before the colony is overtaken by the mites and possibly suffers. I drew up the battle plans and I came up with Operation Simitus. It's time to add some Hypoaspis miles predatory mites to this setup and let them get to work. It's going to be like World War I for the mites. It was not long before Phase 1 had been initiated and troops were on the ground. These are the Hypoaspis miles. They are slightly larger, hairier, and look like the mite version of bear predators just stalking around in the dirt. I purchased a culture of 10,000 Hypoaspis miles, and apparently you only need a small amount to treat an area, so I thought, why not? I'm going to dump in around 5,000 troops, half the troops there are, and see what kind of damage they can do. Couple days into the Operation Simitus, I checked to see how the ground troops were doing and to see how much of an effect they had had on the ants. I zoomed in again with my camera and I still saw ants rolling around with multiple mites on them, but I also saw a couple of ants without. 1 week on from that check, I checked again and I can see a dramatic difference. Although I can still see some phoretic mites, there is nowhere near what there was. As you can see by the ongoing checks, the colony is starting to look in better health and in much better condition with less and less phoretic mites. So Operation Simitus is working. However, the future of the colony remains uncertain. So I am moving the operation forward into Operation New Lands, where I'm going to attach modular pods, and I'm going to start phase 2 of Operation Simitus. So I'm going to have a small outworld with a thin layer of just substrate that contains Hypoaspis miles, and the new clean nest is going to just have also Hypoaspis miles added to it, no cleaner crews or anything like that, so that as the ants transfer out of the old infected nest and into the new nest, I hope that phase 2 of Operation Simitus should pick off any of the remaining phoretic mites, and I will continue to keep you updated as that happens. So until next time, this is the Colonialist signing out.